ship, lost at sea, a slave ship, lost at sea, and I'm drowning in waters deep. I'm drowning.
The community of Normal Heights desires access to Mission Valley. The students of San Diego State University developed a plan to connect Normal Heights to Fenton Parkway Trolley Station. On May 6th, these students attended the Normal Heights Community Planning Group and delivered these plans to the committee.
So before we start, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to be here and present. So for the senior project, we were given the task to design a bike path or a Class 1 facility from Normal Heights to Mission Valley. We had a few different alternatives that we studied. Due to time constraints, we only designed one alternative. We designed one that we thought would be the best for the community. And so then I'll just go through exactly what our design was. Our design started out at the end of 33rd Street, at the intersection of North Mountain View Drive, and it ends up going through an existing SDG parcel. And to actually get into the LC Canyon, it's very, very steep. I don't know if you've been around there, but we had some bad experiences. So we ended up having a 180-foot long staircase. It's a specialized staircase. It's on the pictures there. It allows bikers to be able to ramp their bikes up and down. It ends up running into a pedestrian path that runs along the existing SDG&E trail. The grade that's out there right now is 15 to 16%. It's very steep. We ended up making it around 12%, so we lessened the grade a little bit. So like I said, it ends up following the SDG&E trail all the way to Camino del Rio South. That's where the actual bike path picks up, multi-use path. It's 12 feet wide and runs along Camino del Rio South. It's elevated above the road, so it's off of the road. And then it ends up ending at the intersection of Camino del Rio South and Mission City Parkway. We have repaved a new crosswalk on the far end, that way they don't have to double cross. It's just one straight crosswalk that ends up going across Mission City Parkway Bridge. The existing bridge is very, very wide, so we were able to restripe the bridge to make room for this pedestrian, or to make room for the Class 1 facility. It then runs up to the intersection of Camino del Rio North and Mission City Parkway, again over a crosswalk. And then after that, we have routed it to what we have designed is a bike roundabout plaza, where the bikers or pedestrians will be able to either continue on to their designation, whether it's Fenton Parkway Trolley Station or Mission Valley, or we have also made a trail that goes to the existing river garden that's over there. That will not be paved. That is just a graded trail. So like I said, also it goes against on the bridge and connects into the proposed San Diego River Trail that connects to Texas Street. And then I'll have Mason here talk about the bridge.
So me, along with Marco, our primary task was to design a 665-foot long cable-stayed pedestrian and bicycle bridge. And like he mentioned, it starts Camino del Rio North, and it extends to the Fenton Parkway Trolley Station, and it spans over the San Diego River. Now, whenever we talk about this bridge, people ask, why does it have to be so long? And there's a couple good reasons for that. First of all, we first thought about placing it at the intersection of Camino del Rio North and Mission City Parkway, but the river is way too close, and there was no room for us to have foundations or towers for our bridge. Also, where it is here, it's an easier access from the path to the bridge, so that the cables are in an area where they will not impact bikers or pedestrians in any way. So it's much safer in that way. And then also we wanted to completely avoid building in the river. A typical bridge would absolutely need a column, at least one, but definitely more, along that long of a span. So instead we used a cable-stayed bridge which can span much longer distances, and so we completely avoided building in the river. Unless you have any questions?
What was the reason for that?
Avoiding building in the river? Well, you can discuss it, but I mean, the environmental regulations necessary to be able to build in the river are expensive. And I believe there's a rare bird that lives in this area. Yeah. And so we didn't want to obviously harm that bird, and even getting the permits required to be able to build there would be, who knows if we'd ever get to do it.
And there was also already, I think 5-10 years ago, a proposed, I'm pretty sure it was designed, a vehicle bridge from Fenton Parkway to the intersection at Community Rail North and Mission City Parkway, and it got completely shut down due to the environmental regulations. I believe they're in a redesign phase, so in real life, if they were to actually design that, they would then have to incorporate room for a bike facility. Yeah.
What does 12% mean? Does it mean like this? Is that how? Where is
Texas
it?
Street is 15%.
Hmm?
Texas Street is 15%.
Yeah, the max grade that we're allowed for bikes is 5%. You're allowed 8% only for a short distance though. So if we were to want to incorporate bikes to be able to actually use the path, you'd end up having to run some type of switchback, but then you're running into giant retaining walls. The path would end up being between 2.5 and 3 times as long. That was one of the alternatives that we actually studied, but just not
How much of this path of yours is along existing right-of-ways? I mean, do you have, you mentioned an SDG&E easement that for right-of-way you're going down part of it. Is the rest of this path privately owned, or how would you accomplish getting the land or getting this?
There's approximately 9,000 square feet that we go outside of the SDG&E easement, so we would have to have property acquisition. Fortunately, the areas that we're taking, like I said, they're very steep, so I'm sure the community around there, they'd probably love to sell that because it's pretty much unusable land. And we're not taking out massive amounts of property. It's just, actually a lot of it is down here, so it's not even close to the actual homes that are up there. I believe there's a private business that owns a lot of this hillside. So we go outside the SDG easement a little bit there. And we also go into private property a little bit at the intersection of Mission City Parkway and the Rio South.
The rest is either owned by the city or the state. The main purpose of this project is to connect Normal Heights to Mission Valley. One of the secondary goals is to provide environmental awareness to the community. This path will help the community by reducing traffic flow in the area and thus reducing carbon emissions. This project will also clean up the existing canyon by removing debris and invasive plant species. Environmental awareness can be achieved through various kiosks located throughout the facility. These kiosks will include information for the community as well as local events. They can also depict various posters of vegetation and habitat information, such as a least Bell's vireo, an endangered bird that resides in San Diego. The canyon itself will be closed from dusk till dawn, and signs will be posted to discourage use during non-daylight hours. This is mainly to protect the residents of Normal Heights from unwanted noise and disruptions. This also eliminates the need for electricity along this portion of the path. For mitigation, a plaza is proposed between Camino del Rio North and the San Diego River. This plaza may include a fountain, benches, rest stops, landscaping, and a bicycle roundabout. The plaza will connect to the bike and pedestrian bridge, the San Diego River Garden, and the rest of the alignment as seen in this picture. The complete design of the plaza will need to be contracted out as a possible public works project, and it is not included in this project in its entirety.
Here we have our cable stay bridge we designed as part of our route which connects Normal Heights down to Mission Valley. We decided to design a cable stay bridge because in our preliminary research we discovered that obtaining permits in order to construct within the river would be a challenge due to the endangered bird which lives in the area. Even though our project incorporates a cable stay bridge, we also looked into a second type of bridge, a suspension bridge. Even though we took more time in designing a cable stay bridge, a suspension bridge could be more cost effective because it would require less material than a cable stay bridge.
For this project, the goal of the stormwater study was to assure that the runoff conditions were maintained after the proposed project was constructed. While drainage is normally not necessary for a bike and pedestrian path, Due to the extreme grades along the Normal Heights Canyon and Camino del Rio South, retaining walls were necessary, and thus the hydraulic study was required to assure that the runoff quantity and velocity remained constant with existing conditions. The method used to reduce excessive velocity caused by the retaining wall drains was applying riprap diffusion at the ends of the retaining walls drains, allowing the velocity to reduce to a level where no additional erosion would occur.